Hello to my fellow history lovers and people that think if I learn something new today, it will be a good day. I think it's going to be a good day because I don't think most people know this. And this is thank you to Mike in the comments who taught me a little bit about counterfeiting in the United States. So I had done an earlier video about the collapse of the currency when things got to be not worth a continental and continental money value went to zero. So he added another layer, which I didn't know. So one of the problems with the currency is the government is printing all this money. It's 1775. We're going into a huge war. We need to pay soldiers and cannons and gunpowder, etc. And we have no money. So the Continental Congress prints continental dollars, but there is no taxation. They have no power to tax. So there's nothing backing up that currency other than trust. Well, the British look at that and think, economic warfare. How do we erode the trust in those continental dollars, and then they can't use them to buy anything? So what they did is they started counterfeiting. So I had said in the earlier video that counterfeits were a problem, which they were, but what I didn't know, and what Mike in the comments informed me, is actually a lot of that was coming from the British. So within British-controlled New York, and specifically on the ship, the HMS Phoenix, they had, along with different loyalists, captured or copied the actual, what is that called? The press, the money press, basically. They also brought in really specific paper, the same paper out of Europe that the Continental Congress was using. So literally they have the same, pretty much the same press and the same paper. So it is very hard to identify. And they start flooding the colonies with this money. So the second question you might ask was, well, how do they get it into circulation? And I have my older son, during summers through high school and now in college, works in fast food. And he said one of the things they do now that they're warned about will happen is somebody will come through the drive-thru and they have a fake 20, but they'll come when it's busy and they'll hand the 20, but as they're handing it to you, you're the person taking the money through the drive-thru, they'll distract you and say something like, oh, you did get that I wanted no cheese on that, or ketchup not without. So just for a minute to kind of change the order, distract them. Or sometimes the person sitting in the passenger seat will come up with some, outlandish thing. They're on the phone like, oh my gosh, I can't believe yada yada. So in other words, causing a commotion in a busy time when you've got a backup in the drive-thru, and the person's just going to think, I got to get on to the next person, take the money, give you your change. So they couldn't do that, obviously, in the Revolutionary War. There are no McDonald's drive-thrus then. So what they did do is they would hide the bills in their like lining of a coat or within barrels of goods and get them out of New York and into circulation there. And it got so bad that, and I wrote down this to make sure I had this right, that by 1779, this is before it all collapses, but not long before, inflation was so bad that it took $40 in paper money, continental paper money, to be $1 in silver. And that again is why we say the money wasn't worth a continental. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this fun journey to learn history. I appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow.